In this video, we will be talking about Bigfoot, myth or reality in the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the definitive edition. The reason why we are looking at both games is I want to be as very in-depth as possible on my Bigfoot search. I've been looking for Bigfoot since this game released. For the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I ended up purchasing the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas the very day that it was released. So I have been exploring this game since then. So I have the original game, the definitive edition. Also, I have searched every tree in the woods in the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and in the definitive edition. So I'm gonna let you know on what I found in my search. As for people saying that there's a black textured creature hiding behind any tree and that Bigfoot appears on very rare occasions, and they describe Bigfoot as a black textured creature that sometimes you could see him hiding behind a tree and like looking at Carl Johnson, that Bigfoot is walking and looking at Carl Johnson behind a tree, or he's walking through the fog and he's looking at Carl Johnson, so there's like an eye contact thing going on. Could confirm to you that's not happening. It's also very important to note that I checked every single tree at all hours of the day in the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and the definitive edition. I checked on every day of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As you already know, there's a feature within Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and the definitive edition, that you could actually see what day of the week you're playing on. So I made sure that I tested on every single day within the game. So if it was Monday in the game, I would go check that specific tree. I would go check that specific location. Same for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When you change days in the game, maybe they put something specific for a time. And if you're developing something, example like Bigfoot, you want to make sure that something like that is legitimately rare. It's Bigfoot. I mean, he's not supposed to be easy to find. Like, you're not exactly going to see him the moment you step out on Grove Street and wave to Bigfoot. So they want to make sure that something like that would be rare. If it were to be in the game, that's how you would do it. So like when you're building a big AAA title game, sometimes they'll do something cool. Like maybe they'll show an Easter egg at a specific time within a game. In video game development, something like Bigfoot would 100% chance have a timer on him. That's a given, because Bigfoot is supposed to be rare. You're supposed to be looking for him. That's why people are always mentioning sightings. And I checked all the sightings locations. I did find something, and you'll see what I found as this video continues. But in my search, I checked everywhere. I checked Backhoe Beyond, where they have two ghost cars. So normally, like when you see something spooky like that, two cars moving on their own that are damaged with no drivers, maybe Bigfoot's at Backhoe Beyond. So I checked that and no Bigfoot. Going to each specific tree and working as quality assurance in the video game industry for AAA title studios like I have to be very thorough between test case creation, between exploratory testing, functionality testing, automation testing, regression testing, and build verification testing, and just so many tests. It varies between game studios as they have different requirements and demands. So it varies when you work in quality assurance in the video game industry. We have to really check every in-depth detail when we are building AAA title games. I've never worked on any of the Grand Theft Auto games, but when you work on a major AAA title game, you really have to check every inch and every detail of the place. So I took my experience of working in the video game industry and still working in the video game industry to look at every detail in my Bigfoot search. The one thing I could tell you is in the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, when you're walking like late at night in the forest, like 12 a.m. and 3 a.m., it's creepy. Like, it's spooky. It's scary, because back then, like how game development was done in the 90s or early 2000s, in this case, the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was for PlayStation 2, the original Xbox. I find that when the graphics weren't as strong as they are now in the year 2025, what I mean by that is that the graphics were amazing, but they weren't as realistic as we had them today. They were outstanding graphics and still are, in my opinion, to this day. It's just that games have evolved so much that they look just like us, just like real life. And it's going to keep getting more and more real as time keeps going. And imagine how Grand Theft Auto 6 will be and how that will look like when we're finally playing Grand Theft Auto 6. experience, not just viewing a video of it of a few minutes, just playing the game. And it's getting more and more real, and that's what I mean. It's becoming more and more realistic. I find that games in the 1990s and the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I find that made games even more spooky, even more scary. Like if we think about games on the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2, let me give you some examples like Dino Crisis 1 or Resident Evil. And when we think about these games, it's they were pretty spooky at their time, like when they released. And the same thing goes for Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. When you're playing the original, like you feel that something is actually there, and you start to believe that, you know, maybe there is an actual Bigfoot. So I've been investigating consistently, looking for Bigfoot, and I can't find him. I've checked every single tree everywhere, but this is for the specific circumstance. So that's for the sightings behind a tree. So I could confirm to you that there is no Bigfoot hiding behind the trees or in the fog or staring at Carl Johnson at a distance. That's not happening. But there are also like people mentioning that there are sightings of footprints on the ground, like actual like footprints of example, like an ape, like a gorilla, sort of kind of like what Bigfoot is supposed to be. But I checked that as well, and there are no footprints on the ground. Like I'm guessing Bigfoot is an alien of some sort. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments. And what I found on Bigfoot, I'll be getting to in a second here in this video. But one thing I do want to mention, like in the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, at that time when everyone was talking about Bigfoot and all that, how quality assurance was done in those days was the QA team would be writing issues on a piece of paper and giving it to the developer. So how stuff was done then, there were like more bugs and more issues that would happen within the AAA title games at that time. So it would be harder to fix certain issues. So sometimes to fix issues in video games, like if they can't fix it, they'll hide it with something else. So in this case, in the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and even in some games today, you'll be able to see fog like in the woods because it's essentially duplicating itself. So it's a bunch of the same trees duplicating itself pretty much. As for time management, it's just a quicker way of developing a game. So they just duplicate the same trees over and over and over. So if there's an issue with one of the trees and it's floating or flickering, or there's another big bug hiding behind it, they're gonna add a bunch of fog, so it creates an effect, right? If there's a fog in a forest. So that's why they do that in these games. So at the time it was hard to manage bugs because it was all written on sheets. They didn't have Jira, they didn't have videos attached to a Jira or screenshots. It wasn't as organized as it was today, so more issues would occur and they would add fog to fix this. Now for what I actually found on Bigfoot, and my theory is that this is an Easter egg on the map, as this is a legitimate footprint. So maybe the developers wanted to add Bigfoot in the game before it was published and released, and they decided to delete him from the game. Maybe they had plans for Bigfoot, or maybe all they wanted to do was put this footprint as an Easter egg, or maybe this unintentionally happened and this part of the map just looks like a foot. I'm not really sure. So let me know in the comments, as all my investigation since I've been playing from the original Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and the definitive edition is that there is no Bigfoot in the game. I searched in depth and I cannot find Bigfoot, as he does not exist in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas the definitive edition. And I am a QA award winner for attention to details, and Bigfoot was not one of the details that I found. For more upcoming videos, please click like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.